welcome to a video all about citations. You've already been doing this, so you're already starting those ideas. But in our citation tutorial for week 15, around that time, depending on what class you're in, we talk about citation machines, citation support, and using a flow chart. So I wanted to look through those things with you to give you some ideas on how to approach them. So first things first, I want to look at bib.me and citation machine. So if I open that window, I'm just going to click on a button to get it to stop. Okay. The trick here is that these are free, and free means that we are going to have to deal with ads and different things like that. It is typically free to sign up to create an account. I have an account with bibme.org because I've used them so many times, and I just find them to be really helpful, and that gives me a few more free options. They cut you off at a certain point after using their work, which makes sense. The other option is citationmachine.net, which is also a great one. So to me, if you don't want to make a free account, that means that they will probably cut you off after a couple of resources. They will sort of truncate what they offer you, but what they're offering you is still fine. It's still going to work well. And if you want a free account with them, you'll get a few more options, and that's great as well. But essentially, they are a good starting point. They may not be perfect with our citation, so I like to use bib.me or citationmachine.net in conjunction with the Purdue OWL, which is Purdue University's online writing lab. So what I like to do is put in information, I see what they spit out, and I copy and paste that into my paper, and then I go double check. So did they really do it the way I needed to? I also do that with the library, so we're gonna look at a specific element where you can get a citation from the library. Sometimes it's not perfect, and so you have to edit that. So first things first, what are we going to put in here? As you can see, website is what comes up first. And I love having this option for websites because websites are far from consistent. Finding stuff on a website, if you ever feel stuck, if you ever feel like, how am I going to find this? I can't find that detail. What's happening? Please don't hesitate to send me a message, even long after our class. I'm happy to make a little video for you showing you where I found everything, because I honestly feel like it's taken me 20 years of experience and I still don't always find everything. So that's a good point to say, hey, do your best. That's all we can ask of each other. Do your best. Finding stuff for websites is often really, really difficult. But as you can see here, we have books and chapters and references, and there are just so many possibilities here. Oh, it's interesting that they have the Bible here because I want to talk about classics. Depending on the formatting style, they may or may not require specific references. So for instance, if you're looking at APA 7, it now, it's APA 7. It now requires that you cite and reference the Bible, but in the past that was considered a classic because obviously you can find that just about anywhere. And they would say, okay, well, you want to cite Shakespeare, or you want to cite the Bible, or you want to cite Homer's Iliad. There are so many copies of translations out there. And so you didn't have to write any of that down. You just said, like, it's this chapter, this book, this verse, this scene. You added those specific details to help people, but that's changing. So it's important to double check. Do you have to cite a classic or not? And that varies depending on the format. But I wanted to glance at a book really quick because one of my favorite things here is ISBN. So I'm grabbing the only book I could reach on my bookshelf from where I am with my earphones in. And I'm going to type in the ISBN. These are the numbers by the barcode on the back of the book. Or if you go in a page or two on the book, you'll see a page. It's usually sort of facing away. So it's on the left side when you open 2 pages. It'll say like who the publisher is, the title of the book, all the registration information. And the ISBN is almost always in the lower third of that particular page. So I'm going to type this in. It has dashes and lines and all kinds of stuff, but we just need the numbers. A funny story about this is that my husband was working on a big paper and he had not been doing this bit by bit. And he said, I don't know what I'm going to do. I have so little time left, but I've got to get all these books in there. And I had it done in minutes because I typed in the ISBNs. This is one of your quick key codes for it. It immediately brings up everything I need about that particular book. So my copy is, double check this. My copy, I think, is 2017. Yes, it's 2017. So notice there are two different editions. And then I'm going to cite that. From there, I can get all kinds of information. But I'm actually going to go grab this website because I think that's more helpful. I'm going to select all of this website address. Because a lot of times you're not going to have books. We're going to be online a lot these days. And I'm going to type in that website. I copied and pasted it. So I selected all for the address. I pasted it in there and I'm going to search. Notice that it also says create a manual citation. This is super helpful in that it will say, hey, do you know where X is? And it'll walk us through parts and pieces. So it gave us one result. It asks me if I want to cite that. And notice that it's bringing up all of this stuff. And that is super amazing. It also has stuff where it's like, hey, we really want this, but do you have it? So it tells me what it found. It tells me what it would like me to find, and then I can keep going from there. So it has the information. The author is actually an organization. So I'm just going to type it in here. I'm going to type in Purdue OWL. I could type in Purdue Online Writing Lab. But why am I talking about that? Well, the key element here is I want someone else, if they find my source interesting, to be able to find it. Frankly, I want to be able to find my source if I want to go back to that. So how do we do that? How do we make sure that we can find that source? That's where we want enough information. So when I'm looking at this, I don't really need like first and last name here. It's the Purdue OWL. But will that get me to the resource? That's the big question. I could write it as Purdue OWL, OWL. I can write it as Purdue Online Writing Lab. Both of those are going to get me to where I need to be. And that you're going to find that different people have different focuses for this kind of information, but that's what I want you to always be thinking about. Can I find it again? Can someone else find it relatively quickly within 5 minutes if I put this information out there? And that's all we really want. That's the most important thing. So we know that the publisher or sponsor is the same as the author, which is the Purdue University. So we're just going to go with Purdue University there just to add some extra info. I don't have to, but I'm going to. So now it asks me, when was it published? This is one of the hardest things you're going to find with websites. Like sometimes, if we're really lucky, under the title, it'll say, oh, so-and-so wrote this and they published it on X date. Yay! That hardly ever is going to happen. The other thing you can do, if it's not right up here at the top, is scroll. Depends on the website how long this is. But you're going to scroll all the way to the bottom, and that is going to give you some information. So let me close this ad, and it will talk about when they've trademarked it. And in this case, the copyright is 2024, so this year. I often go with those dates. You can decide. You absolutely can decide. I often put the copyright date for that website because it means that within that date or date range, the people running the website are checking on things. But especially when it gives you a date range, like 2019 to 2024, we would put the soonest date, so 2024. But that can make you feel like, okay, well, when did they check it? You know, did they publish it in 2019? Have they checked it in 2024? What does all of that look like? So sometimes I put the date here, I grab that copyright, and sometimes I don't. So I think, again, it's not about a specific question as much as it is about you. So if you think about it, you're accessing it. It's showing when you accessed it. So I would feel comfortable putting 2024. I would also be comfortable putting ND for no date. And because it's abbreviated, I put those periods there. Now I'm going to have it complete the citation. Oops, it doesn't like that. So I'm just not going to put a date this time. I personally would probably put 2024, but as I've pointed out, that's a yes, no. Like it really is, what are you getting from that? Is that helping you? So now I'm going to copy that. It let me copy it. It didn't let me sort of really grab it and highlight it. The other part that I want you to be thinking about here, because I have this older list, so I have Pena, so Purdue is going to go next. Notice my citation information here. Notice my formatting. I have the hanging indent that I need, so that first line is lined up with my left margin, and then all the other subsequent lines are indented, which is what our works cited should have. If I just copy and paste this, notice that it doesn't match my spacing. It's not double spaced. It did grab the hanging indent, which is good, but it's kind of, there are a couple of options here. You can copy and paste it and see what's different and what's working and not working. Notice that it's a little bit further to the left. So I'm going to need to check this part to make sure it lines up. I'm going to need to go into formatting and double space it. So this is what I like to do. Find the hotkeys for this, but I'm going to paste and match style. So let's see. I don't know if it's under that part. There we go. So for me in Pages on Mac, it's under Edit and then Paste and Match Style. So it gave me a little extra space that I have to get rid of, but notice that it didn't add any italics, and websites are italicized. So I have to still keep that open and italicize that. But otherwise, it did a really good job of matching where I was. It matched the hanging indent. Like, it matched a lot more. So I personally like to do paste and match style. But again, you're not going to find that these are perfect. You're going to find that they're going to have a couple of little bits and bobs that don't quite match. And so you have to edit that, and that's perfectly okay. But as long as you're ready, and if you are stuck on any of this, please don't hesitate to reach out and ask me. So the other two things I wanted you to look at, because citationmachine.net is going to do the exact same thing. You can Google Citation Machine and see how many types of websites like this show up. Notice that they both got bought out by Chegg, who does, I believe, Spark Notes. Anyway, I'm going to the library website. I'm going to log on to ProQuest, because a lot of times, a lot of these resources I find a different way. So we have two left that I wanted you to look at. It's going to ask me to log in. This has been a big problem for a lot of students. I personally had to reset my password, which I just reset the week before, to 16 plus characters and the whole 9 yards, and it was very, very frustrating. So I'm going to type in an idea. Let's see. I don't want to do that right now. Right now, I want to look up, I'm going to look up Raven Rock, because that book is beside me. So it gave me full text. It gave me all this info. I don't even have to go anywhere. It has this. So when you're on any of these websites, ProQuest, databases, journals, look for all these little hot buttons. Sometimes they're going to be something like this with a quotation marks. That helps to notice what they are. But always hover your mouse around to say, what is up there, what's available. So as you can see, I click on that, and notice that it gives me all the things. So I could do MLA 8th edition. I could do Chicago Manual of Style 17th edition, which is weird because I could swear they're in their 18th edition. Anyway, notice that there are a lot. So there's APA 7 with annotations. There's Turabian. So there are lots and lots of options, but of course we're doing MLA. I'm going to click on all of it. I'm going to press copy, or here I just hit the copy button. It copies it to my clipboard. It says Raven Rock is the title, so PQR. Let's see what happens. I'm just going to do Control Paste. Oof, look what happened. It does not match what I did. So I'm going to Control Z my way out of there. I'm going to go to Edit, Paste, and Match Style. And it's going to give me a lot more of what I want. But do you notice that something is wrong? What makes this different than all the others? It's all the capitals. So even though this came from a website that I trust, a website that asked me, do you want a citation? Here's a citation. They still didn't do it correctly. I often do it like this where I type the word because I don't want to forget halfway through. I say that because there's always someone interrupting me. So that's my approach, that's my method. And then I delete the other parts. So there are going to be difficulties with all of it. None of it is going to be absolutely perfect. And then if I feel stuck, so as you can see, I have to go through. I could also look at formatting. So I could highlight this. I could go to format. Let's expand this. So there are always going to be lots of ways. It's about you figuring out what you're comfortable with. For me, I could look under my formatting, notice that capitalization, it says none, and I want title case, and let's see what happens. Nothing. So it's sort of a mess right there. I wanted to try like lowercase. So even that's not really working. I'm just going to have to go in there and do the legwork myself, as it were. So all of those are going to have issues. The last thing I like to do is the Purdue OWL for APA, MLA, and Chicago. Chicago resources are a little bit more narrow on the Purdue OWL, but they have incredible resources for MLA and APA. They also have all kinds of information about resumes and CVs. They have information about cover letters, lots and lots and lots of great info. It's everyone's favorite because they invest a tremendous amount of money into it. So they have full teams working on this every year, which is absolutely amazing. So as you can see, it has all kinds of good info here. It says, this is MLA. So I often do a search of Purdue OWL MLA, Purdue OWL APA, and then that leads me to the page I want that's going to be along this style. It's going to talk about different elements rather than pushing it all into one squishy spot. So as you can see here, I could go to formatting a list, formatting quotations. I could look at periodicals on a works cited page. I get different pages that will walk me through concepts. I can also do a search of MLA. I want to look up 3 or more authors because things change when there are 3 or more authors. And that gave me 2 different pages that I can go check out. So it's great as a searchable database. Also, if you didn't notice, right here at the top, they connect you to citationmachine.net, powered by Chegg. So you can access it by its own page or there. So to review, there are a lot of options for citing. Get comfortable with 1 or 2 of those and always have something in your back pocket like the Purdue OWL, because even those amazing resources are not going to give you what you need. What I did right here to recognize that something was wrong is I looked for consistency. At the very least, get the same thing wrong every time. That way, when you fix it, you get it right every time. That's what we're looking for. Is it consistent? Have we made the same error so we can easily correct that? Or have we found what's right? So when I looked at that new one, I said, whoa, wait a minute, something is different. And that is the reminder that I need to go check on things. So that's what we're doing. Look for consistency, look for 1 or 2 resources, something like citationmachine.net and Purdue OWL, to have with you always, because you're constantly going to find yourself coming back to these things. And have fun with it. Like, we only can do our best, especially with websites. Always ask for help and support. If you can't reach me, you can always reach a librarian.